Hey folks, Matt here, and today we're going to check out Pure Pop Records here in Burlington, Vermont. Let's do it. Tell me about the history of Pure Pop.
Well, it started in 1980 by my father. He moved here from working in various record stores out west and moved here. Been in this same location for most of the 40 years. We were across the street for about half a year.
Oh, huh.
We've gone from an alternative place to maybe the place to buy things in the 90s, maybe back to more of an alternative indie place now. Or, I mean, our look hasn't changed, but, you know, I don't know. It's all, I guess, where the culture goes, depending on how you feel like what we are, I guess.
How much of your stock is vinyl?
Oh, well, inventory-wise, it's a huge percentage because it costs more than CDs, but I'd say it's about 50-50 on, you know, titles or so. You know, the rock is probably about 50%, and then, you know, you got your, 5 and 10% for the rest of the genres. You know, sure. We try to represent all the genres, you know, reggae, country, metal.
Sure.
So, my name is Mikey X, and I am, I don't even know, I work here.
Sure.
I showed up one day, and I just never left.
Sure. Would you be the metal guy here?
Yeah, we could say that.
Yeah?
Yeah,
sure.
We could say I was the metal guy here.
Do you stock a lot of the metal? Do you pick the bands and all that?
Mike and I talk about which bands
sure.
to bring in,
yeah.
and sometimes I'll come in and be like, hey, we should get this, and yeah, sure, let's do it.
Sure.
We're gonna have the bands from the big labels. That's basically, you know, the starting point. But, you know, as far as our metal crowd, we tend to not be like what you would consider like mainstream metal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We tend to be, you know, the bands on Relapse or Century Media, Nuclear Blast. We're a college town and is perceived as the college record store,
yeah.
Which has always kept out local teenagers to some degree, just feeling that, you know, not that we don't want them to come, but they've just like always felt like it's not the mall store, and it's the college place, so we don't sell a lot of the like really kind of like mainstream metal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, that
Pissgrave, Cerebral Rot. We've been told that we have a really good curated section.
Nice.
We're much more likely to sell, you know, a lot more of Sleep than Killswitch Engage.
Sure.
You know, basically, yeah.
You also participate in Record Store Day. How does a typical RSD go here at Pure Pop?
The interesting thing about RSD here is obviously the weather on an April is always touch and go.
Sure.
So you're going to have a long line of people having to wait in semi-dubious weather.
I get here at 7 a.m. Mike's been here all night preparing for it. We pass in like... We're both groggy. We pass. He goes and does something. I think gets coffee. I'm looking for coffee when I get here. I start handing out wish lists to the line out front. And then 8 o'clock rolls around. The line just gets bigger and bigger. Then 9 o'clock hits. Wish lists are done. We do a lottery with wish lists, like pull them out of a box and grab the top 2 picks for people. And 10 o'clock, we open the doors and all hell breaks loose.
Nice.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's fun, and people really enjoy their time in their line. And, you know, everybody, you know, we feel like a lot of people get what they want. You know, that's the biggest thing when Record Store Day ends, is that a lot of people got what they wanted.
Cool. So what's your metal journey like? Where did you start? When you start listening to it, all of that?
I started listening to metal or heavy rock back in elementary school.
Yeah.
I first got into AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, Metallica. I remember getting a sheet at one of my at the elementary school that was like, this person came in and talked. They were like, "This music worships the devil," and AC/DC stands for Antichrist, Devil's Children. And I came home and I was like, "Hey Ma, can we get one of these?" And she's like, "Sure, let's go." And she went and got me the Razor's Edge.
Nice.
So, and then I heard Thunderstruck, and it was all over after that. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I went from like hard rock into like thrash metal, like Slayer, and and then just then black metal.
Yeah.
So and death metal, like Cannibal Corpse and whatnot.
Really 90s stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel now that you have a couple other record stores in town? A little competition, maybe?
On one hand, yes. I mean, obviously there's competition. Everybody's trying to do their own thing. It does get offset where people feel like if you do live an hour away or 2 hours away, there are some people that know there are 3 places to go or whatever. So it's like maybe worth an excursion into town because they can check out all 3 places. So you get a little bit of that. For us, we feel like we're much more focused on new stuff. We just feel like we're doing that part the best, I guess.
All right.
So one of my favorite moments here at the shop was this dude was looking around the shop, and he came up and he's like, "You guys have any Sturgill Simpson?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man, totally. We have like 4 or 5 titles from him right now." And he's like, "Really? I couldn't find any." And I was like, "Did you look in the country?" He's like, "No, I was looking at the rock." He's like, "I don't like country." I'm like, you listen to Sturgill, right?" And he's like, "Yep." I'm like, "You like country?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No!" So I think I like burst his bubble on that one, that he was into country.
That's awful.
I know.
We had a couple that came in here about 5 years ago on a Sunday that I think they were high.
Sure.
And they had gotten an insurance check or an inheritance, and they just went nuts. Like they were literally just like, "I like the Who."
Yeah.
And like, I've never seen them again, and I never saw them before. God, they must have regretted like 80% of what and I don't mean that in like since it was great to make money. It was just kind of just like hilarious in their just like lack of like caring, I guess.
Right.
Like
money, why not, right?
Yeah, I guess. But they got a lot of good stuff to listen to, I guess. That was just something that came to mind, I guess.
Yeah. So the store is quite literally underground. Do you feel that being a little out of sight affects your business at all?
It's probably more of a hindrance now that the industry is where it is at now than it was in the 90s. I mean, obviously, at times when the industry was cranking, people would have they're going to find you. Obviously, with technology now, as far as being able to search for you, is helped. So, it's one of those things. I mean, we're not a big store, but I think some people, just from the outside, even think we're smaller than we are. They don't. I think when they walk down the stairs, they don't realize how much of the space is going to be occupied. So I think that's like the biggest thing. I think a lot of people are just surprised of like how much stuff is down here when they come down here.
Sure. Yeah.
On a street date, there were 5 things that people were looking for 25 years ago, and now you just don't know what.
Right.
It's amazing what you people ask for on a Friday. I mean, you'll bring in 55 new releases on a Friday, and they'll inevitably ask for the thing you didn't bring in. Kind of like, because it's just like, I mean, just starting from metal.
Yep.
If you go down to the smaller labels, I mean, there are 50 metal titles a week that come out.
Yes.
It's really, really heavy. And so
I try to keep up with it as best I can, but it's crazy.
Right. And I think that's the thing. I think that it's what's funky is when it's something that isn't on, like, that's where you're using the label as a filter for you, hoping that if it's something that's going to sell in America, then it would end up on one of the bigger labels and wouldn't end up on some random Polish label that you can't get. The nice thing about used is the titles change, which keeps the regulars that are coming in more excited because they can come in one week and then there's a bunch of new stuff the next week. So
you have a nice turnover.
the turnover in used is always going to be better. You don't replace it with the exact same title when you sell it. Right. And new, like, if you're a new customer, yes, you have the new releases that you find out about, but beyond that, the new section is going to be much more stagnant. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I have customers that are in here once every couple weeks, they browse the new release wall, then they're pretty much done. I mean, if they like metal or reggae, they're gonna like look at those 2 or 3 rows or whatever, and maybe see a new release. But what they're really looking for is what came in used. Yeah. You're having people that are buying music and not buying music, and that's really changing. And that ones that are just buying it occasionally is probably going down, especially probably at a brick and mortar retail level. Where it's like, it's one of those. It's such an offset because it's like sometimes you feel bad because people come in and like they ask for things like maybe during Christmas time, and it's just like we don't see that customer. Like, I mean, there's definitely like a focus as Christmas is coming to like stock certain things, and that what people would have, but there's just we don't have a deep Michael Bublé section.
Okay. Well, thanks for talking to me, Mike.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
Right on.
And we're back. Well, I'm back anyways. I know a lot of you like it when I bring friends along for these record store reports, and I do too. I think it's a great dynamic. I dig it. But a lot of scheduling conflicts happen with folks, so rather than wait for those people to have their schedules freed up and show, I decided to do this episode and get it out. And I think you might appreciate that a little bit more. Or either that or wait another month or two for an episode of the show. Let me know in the comments which one you like. Do you like me going solo, or do you like me going with a friend? Definitely, let me know in the comments. So Pure Pop is pretty much the big boy in town. I believe they were the first record store, or a very early record store here in town, since 1980. I moved here in the early 90s, so I did a lot of my record shopping there. Probably in 91, 92 is when I first started going there, and I love the store. It's changed a little bit over the decades. I think the folks that worked there back then were a little bit more sort of cool kid minded. You've been to record stores like that, I'm sure. But I think the Pure Pop of today is a bit more laid back. It's a lot friendlier. I don't think it was bad back then. I don't want to overstate that. But I like the mood of the place now. And I like shopping there even more as a result. So you might as well. You should definitely check it out for sure. Of course, you saw the metal section. Amazing metal section. Definitely well curated, as Mikey said. I go there every other Friday on payday. Usually buy a couple records right away. It's that good. And I guess if I were to have a best metal record section in any record store here in Burlington, Vermont, Pure Pop wins that award pretty well. So it's got my seal of approval. I think you'll dig it too. Thanks as always for watching the Record Store Report. And if you dug what you watched, definitely give it a like. Actually, one, YouTube won't let you do 2. Also, share this video with your friends if you are of the mind to do so, which maybe you are. Of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. I appreciate it. And since you get notified of all the videos I do as a result, you get something out of it as well. So definitely consider subscribing. That's all for now. Take care and ever forward.